At that time, everybody was very patriotic because we had been attacked by the Japanese, and we all wanted to get in and serve the country. So when I was 17, I tried to enlist, but I was too skinny. And they told me I had to put on weight before I could enlist. So I went down to my grandparents' house on the farm and spent a couple of months there with my grandmother trying to fatten me up. And right after my 18th birthday, I went back to the enlistment office and tried to join up again, and they said, well, you're still underweight, but if you want in so bad, why, we'll take you in. And so I got in 1 month after I was 18 years old. The thought of going into battle was a real exciting thing for a kid that age. But our first mission over Japan was the firebombing raids on Tokyo. And remember, I'm flying into battle riding backwards, so I can't see what's coming on. But all of a sudden, it was pitch black, and it felt like the plane was falling. And my first thought was, get out of here. Well, the hatch to get out is very small, and fortunately, I didn't try to open it because training took over and says you wait for orders. But had I opened it, I would have been asphyxiated immediately because we were actually in the column of smoke over the city, and the aircraft was actually, rather than falling, was lifted 2,000 feet. And the entire city was burning. We burned it to the ground. And then after we got out of that column of smoke, I realized what was going on. Well, our missions, they sort of became rather routine because the B-29 was the most modern aircraft in the world at that time. And the Japanese quickly learned that they couldn't attack it with a fighter plane because of the armaments on the 29. We had the first computerized gun sights, and for a Japanese fighter to attack you, they either had to come on head-on or fly what they called a pursuit curve, where they would have to parallel you and then do that and turn in to come behind you. And the purpose of that is so their guns lead your aircraft. And because, as you know, when you're shooting any moving target, you have to lead it. And when they fly that, it's a prescribed course, and our automatic gun sights, we would be able to get them real easy. So they quickly learned that you couldn't use a fighter aircraft to come after a B-29, so we were left alone in that regard. Our biggest problem would be from anti-aircraft fire. And when you're on a bombing run, you don't deviate from that run. You start your run and you go straight ahead, and all around us would be anti-aircraft bursts. And you would never know how close or where they were, but you were going to fly right into it. So that was probably the most dangerous part of it, and that would be when we were more frightened of anything, because they explode and that shrapnel just goes all over. See? We had just come back to Tinian from Iwo Jima, and we had no idea that the atomic bomb had been dropped. We didn't know what an atomic bomb was. One of the planes that carried the atomic bomb was loaded on Tinian, but we didn't know what they were doing. But I always thought one of the most dangerous times I had in the war was the night we heard they signed the peace, or that the war was over, because when the word came down, all of us carried guns. Everybody was out shooting in the air, hooray, hooray, hooray. Well, what goes up has to come down. And I always thought, if we live through this, why, it's a miracle. Serving in the military has always given me a great sense of patriotism. And I regret the way so many people feel about our country today, because we've got a great country, and I've always felt that way. And it's always made me feel proud to be American and to have served.